Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Rejoice Christian Eagles Coaches Show, coming to you tonight from down on the field at Gibbs Field on the campus of Rejoice Christian Schools. We're here during the Fields of Faith event, which will be going on until 8 p.m. As you can see, it's already started behind us, and we'll have Coach Marley talk about that event here shortly. If you are watching this online and you got some kiddos at home, send them on down. This thing goes on till 8 o'clock. I'm Bill Bush, and I'm joined here tonight by my broadcast partner, Mark Kirk, head coach of the Rejoice Christian Eagles, Brent Marley, and strength and O-line coach, Marty Barnett. And we will discuss the win over Adair and the big upcoming game against the Veneta Hornets. Feel free to ask any questions during the show. Just click on the comment section. Todd will get those to us, our engineer. If you've got anything you'd like to ask anyone, or if you just like to make some smart aleck comments, kind of like what some of the coaches did last week.
We're getting used to that, yeah.
Before we start talking about some football, like I say, we'd like to talk about the event that's going on here until 8 for the area youths. Coach, talk to me a little bit about the Fields of Faith, how long it's been going on, how it got started, why it got started, and why it's so important to you and the staff here at Rejoice.
Well, it really, was founded, and it's an FCA event, Fellowship of Christian Athletes, that are nationally known in campuses all over the United States. And FCA has a big chapter here in Oklahoma, northeast Oklahoma, very involved in a lot of schools. And so the whole idea was to, during football season, you have venues with a lot of seating, sound systems already available. The weather's normally, like tonight, it's beautiful out here.
Awesome.
And just a function where you can have some games, music, food, guest speakers come in, and just to get kids in the community, out on the field for the gospel message to be preached, and then some praise and worship music. And it's really just a faith-building experience. And we definitely, that's what we're about here and want to be part of that. I know Jim Glover Dodge up the road is very involved with FCA and helping sponsor this event. And then we have the local youth groups in the community. A lot of the churches in Owasso, their youth groups are here tonight. The youth pastors have been involved with this event, helping this event get ready. And so it's going to be cool tonight with the music, the guest speakers, and it goes from 6 to 8. So if you're watching, have a young kid, get out here to Rejoice Christian and check out Fields of Faith.
What's the age group?
Yeah, I was just going to ask you that.
Mainly youth, from like junior high age, about 6th, 7th grade, up to high school, high school seniors. So all the way up, typical youth group age from junior high into high school.
And how long did you say it has been going on? You probably said.
It's been a while. I don't know exactly how long. I think it started in the early 2000s, but it's been going on for a while.
And you've hosted it here for 4 years.
This is the third year.
Third year.
We hosted it. Yep.
Okay. All right. Very good. After Friday night's game, and again, we repeat that again. If you've got a junior high or high schooler, you got 2 hours. This thing, lots of music, lots of food trucks.
Lots of activity.
A lot of activity, as you can see behind us. So hopefully they don't get hit in the back of the head with a football. That could happen. But bring them on down, drop them off, and then come by and, like I say, pick them up. They're in a safe environment and get the gospel message. So I really encourage you to do that. We'll talk a little bit about Friday night's game. That's kind of what we're here for, not all the guys behind us, but that's what we're here for. Rejoice is now 6-0 overall, 3-0 in district play. The Eagles were able to go to Adair and pick up a win over really an obviously overmatched Adair squad. After the hard-fought come-from-behind victory over Claremore Sequoia, it was kind of a welcome relief not to have to go and really
duke it out all the way to the
yeah, because you don't want 2 games in a row like that. That takes a lot out of you, and especially with Veneta coming up. And you got a lot of number 2s getting some playing time for those guys that they could be called on in the future. You never know when somebody's going to go down and your number comes up. You better be ready to go in at a moment's notice. Just kind of going over the game recap. In the first quarter, it started out kind of on an ominous note for Adair. First play from scrimmage, Cooper Auschwitz intercepted a ball at the Warrior 24-yard line, returned it to 21 yards down to the Warrior 3-yard line. 2 plays later, Coop caught a 6-yard touchdown pass to take an early 6-0 lead. And then we talked about it last week. We don't think he's missed one all year, and I'm not sure what happened on that. The very first one out of the gate, he misses an extra point.
I think somebody got a hand on that, didn't they? It looked like somebody
Or
got
was
a
it
hand
just
on that ball.
mishit?
I think there was some snap issues. The ball was actually on the ground and not on the kicking block. So
Okay.
Yeah, okay. Well,
Yeah.
I knew it looked weird when it was when it was in
out
flight.
sideways.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was coming out sideways.
We don't believe in.
I blame you guys for jinxing.
I know, that's what I say. We don't believe in jinx, but if we did, it's Coach Marley's fault because he's the one that brought it up.
He brought
so.
it up, exactly.
But on the other second possession, the ball was snapped over the quarterback's head, recovered there by Camden Ryan on the Warrior 10-yard line. And on the very first play from scrimmage, it was another 10-yard toss and catch from Wilson to Auschwitz. Auschwitz, it was
a Cooper Auschwitz show.
Well, yeah, it caught the first three games the first three passes of the game, 2 for us, 1 from them, and so just like that, it's and the 2 from Wilson and then 1 from the opposing team. But the Eagles had a 13-0 score with only 13 yards of total offense to begin the game, and after stopping Adair in the next possession, the Eagles went on an 87-yard drive, capped off by a 13-yard toss to Wilson to Josh Hendrick, which was preceded by a nice 40-yard rush by Cale Marley to get the ball down deep into Adair territory. In the second quarter, in the second, Adair scored a TD and a 2-point conversion, narrowed the score down to 20-8. And then Rejoice scored on an 8-yard TD toss to Solomon Morton to lead 27-8 after the point after. After Adair had another snap go over the head of their quarterback. I mean, they had talk about some snap issues.
I have some theories about that.
Okay.
I'll bring up a little bit later.
Okay.
I have some theories about that.
You and I talked about that. I'll let you bring that up because that's your forte is the defense, and I know you're going to brag a little bit there. Adair attempted to throw out of their own end zone, and what looked like it was going to be a safety. Mark and I was saying, he stepped out of bounds as a safety. Glad that they didn't call that, or that he didn't step out of bounds.
Better off.
Yeah, because Isaac Barnett, Camden Ryan, it was close to being Isaac Barnett and Dalton Close for the safety, but then turned out to be an interception by Camden Ryan, who returned it 3 yards for a touchdown, extending the lead then to 34-8 after the point after attempt. And then Maverick Price, we had no idea how much time was left, and I'm curious, how often do the
Did
coaches
they check in with you? Yeah.
Do they let you know on every play, here's how much time's left? Because obviously you knew there were seconds left.
Yeah, the referee on our side, thankfully, he was the one keeping the clock on his wristwatch because the scoreboard wasn't working. So I didn't try to bug him too much. They didn't act like they really wanted to tell us when we asked them. But
We don't want you
we
to
had to
stop
know
it.
how much time was left. So he told me I think there was like 30 seconds left or something when we kicked that last field goal.
Well, that makes sense because I know Bill and I were talking. Bill said, "Well, I think that means 2 minutes." When he came over and tell you that, and then the next play, the game was over.
Yeah,
So.
well, or
Or
the half was
was
over.
over. I mean,
yeah. Because Maverick Price to end the first half kicked a 30-yard field goal as time expired, and we took a 37-8 lead into halftime. Third quarter, thankfully, it was a running clock. I think most the entire second half, I believe, or shortly thereafter it started. We marched right down the field to open the second half, starting at our own 35, capped off when Chance called his own number on a 33-yard run to bring the score to 44-8 after the PAT, and then after forcing another 3-and-out, the Eagles only had to go 38 yards, capped off by an 18-yard screen pass to Jace Jenkins and increased the lead to 51-8 to end the scoring in the third quarter. In the fourth quarter, after another turnover on downs by Adair, the Eagles went on an 81-yard drive, capped off by a 19-yard run by Cale Marley out of the quarterback position to lead. Then they led 50. I've got 51-8, but actually that would be 58-8 after the PAT. Adair then went on a 74-yard drive there at the end of the game to make it 58-14 after a failed 2-point conversion to finish out the game. Some of the and I know we talked to our engineer before the game, and he was pretty excited about this. He didn't even realize this. Josh Hendrick,
right?
Yeah, well, he was second. Josh
Hendrick,
caught 4 passes for 61 yards and a touchdown, and Blake Witten, son of Todd Witten, had the second most receiving yards with 47 on 2 receptions, Cooper Oshwitz, our Jersey Mike's player of the game, had 3 catches for 34 yards and 2 touchdowns. Solon Morton, 3 catches, 29 yards and a touchdown. Kale Marley, a catch for 40 yards. Drevin Reed, 2 catches for 27 yards. Jace Jenkins, a catch for 18 yards and a touchdown. And then, okay, I'm gonna say ZZ, and you're gonna tell me the last name. ZZ
Okwufalazi.
Sure. Equifalazi.
I think I said that. Is that right?
Okwufalazi. We just call him ZZ, and now you know
now.
why. He had a catch for 27 yards, which probably got the sidelines as much excited I saw him all night long after he caught that.
And he looked good going down that line.
Yeah, absolutely, and he's obviously a team favorite. I mean, they were excited about it. But it was another kind of quiet night on the ground for the Eagles for the most part. You know, it was pretty quiet against Claremore Sequoia. You had Kale Marley had 1 carry, 18 yards. I mean, outside of the 84 yards that Chance had with a long one of 47 yards and a TD, it was Kale with 1 carry, 18 yards and a touchdown. Barnett had 4 carries for 11. Jenkins 1 carry for 8. I mean, we finally got a little bit of a breather, and obviously Adair is not what Adair normally is. I mean, obviously, we talked about that last week, the coaches show. They're a storied program, but they're in a building year right now, obviously. I mean, a lot of, I guess, probably young players, and it didn't present the kind of competition we're used to seeing. How were you able to keep the guys into the game once they realize that, guys, this isn't going to be that difficult? How do you keep them in their heads in the game?
Yeah, it's, kind of a challenge, you think, when you go to a team that hasn't won yet, but at the same time, we have never won there, and so we reminded that during the week. And like you said, it reminded them of the tradition, the legacy that they've had there, and they weren't just going to roll over and let you win. And it's always, if you're going to be that team you want to be, that you desire to be at the end, you got to be able to go into places that maybe the team's not having a great season, and you'll see high school teams play down a lot or not play well based on who they're playing or the environment or whatever, and so we've got to combat that, and we didn't want to do that. I mean, the last time we played there, we were getting whipped, and it was not good and not a good situation.
We remember that really well.
Yeah.
It wasn't a fun night.
So that was some motivation there, and then they got new turf in. The surface was beautiful. It was nice, and so that was kind of a fun to be able to play on that. And anyway, but yeah, I mean you just got to kind of try to find the silver lining in things to motivate in situations like that.
Yeah, it was kind of a strange game, but I mean it's obviously Rejoice came out and had their head in the game from the very get-go, and Adair just constantly, they had issues literally from the first snap on. And I have a theory, though, on a lot of these snap issues. I think when you got Dalton close right over the top of your nose and you're concentrating on trying to keep him from tearing things up too bad, I think he was thinking more about that than he was about getting those snaps completed.
Well,
That's
sure
my
hope
theory.
that your theory's right tomorrow night.
I'm sticking with it.
I agree with you.
I agree. Dalton's a real presence there, and I know just from an offensive line standpoint, for a center to have a guy like that over your snap hand, that you got a lot to do. You got to get the ball snapped, and then you got to try to deal with him.
You still got to play your position, exactly.
And so I think that's got a lot to do with it.
It is.
Dalton's really playing well and is a lot to handle there in the middle. So I think you're probably right.
When you looked at their films in their previous games, had they had those type of snap issues? I mean, was that something coming into it? You thought, hey guys, we can need to take advantage of this because obviously they're having problems snapping
I didn't
the
feel
ball.
like I noticed it being there might have been one or two. It's been kind of like that with every team, but nothing like, wow, they were functioning just fine as far as CQ exchange. But that's a great point. I don't know if they've seen a nose like Dalton.
Right.
So I think it's fair to say that. And
I would think that's probably a fair statement.
I mean, it set the theme for the night, I thought.
Right. Yeah. I mean, early.
Definitely early.
They do a great job coaching their guys over there, and as we looked at the film, we could tell they didn't have the athletes they've had in the past, but it wasn't something that jumped out at us that they just were falling apart on a weekly basis and not getting the snaps and that sort of thing. I think I'd like to think we had something to do with forcing the issue, and like I said, they're a well-coached team. They just don't have the athletes they've had in years past.
And coaches have talked about it in the past coaches show that Dalton's getting double teamed just about every game. I mean, just about every game. And so we had them, even when they weren't having bad snaps, we had a lot of pressure on them. I mean, that was just, the way they played it. The only thing that really stopped the offense was the clock. We scored, and I didn't realize this till I went back and watched the game, scored on every single possession, offensive possession, except for the last one after Blake Whitten caught the ball, went 28 yards as time expired. Otherwise, we probably
so they said.
Yeah,
we had no proof.
We're going to take their. We're going to take
one more play, and Blake would have scored.
Yeah,
so too.
He just about did on the very last one. Another guy, and he was out in the open. I would think you'd be pleased with the efficiency of the offense with 6 different people scoring touchdowns. Yet again, not just depending on 1 or 2 guys, but you had 6 different guys that scored on the offense.
Yeah, no, definitely. It's good seeing some young guys get involved too. It's good to see ZZ catch the pass, have a good game. Blake getting involved. It's good to see Isaac running the ball again. And
that's right.
Jay Jenkins, Jay scored a touchdown on the screen.
Yep.
Of course, Drevin. If you even taken away the 6 TDs, how many guys touched the ball?
A lot.
There's a lot of guys touching the ball, so that makes it difficult for opponents to just hone in and key on. And everybody wants to talk about chance, and rightfully so, But all those other carries and touches are distributions to other people, so it takes some pressure off of him, definitely.
And for one of the things that of course, the backs and the receivers always get the limelight, right? But on the O-line side, I think that has a lot to do with those guys being that effective, giving chance of time to be able to make those passes. For me, I think this is as important as any of it, and it oftentimes gets overlooked.
I tell the offensive line sometimes, if you play well, nobody notices.
Exactly.
Except for me and your mom. If we mess up, then everybody notices, and that's not a good thing. I'm proud of this group. We had a great senior class last year that seemed to graduate a lot of offensive linemen, a lot of good depth. We've had young guys step up. We brought back Marshall and Dalton and TJ with experience, but we've been able to plug in Harrison Rainey, who was new to our program and has fit in really well. Tommy Mulkey, who played a little bit last year, stepping in. And then Nate Price has done a really nice job. He was kind of my role player last year and has stepped in and anchored us at left tackle. And Jet McCain is kind of my Swiss Army knife. He has played all 5 positions on the offensive line at some point this year. And kind of based on game plan and different things going into the week, I kind of tell him during the week, okay, Jet, this is where I want to see you getting reps this week. For TJ playing a lot more defense for us against Claremore Sequoia, Jet played a lot of snaps at center. And again, a lot of people didn't notice that, which is good.
It's good, yeah.
Right.
If Coach Morley notices our center, it's usually because we've had a bad snap.
Something's going wrong.
So we don't want to get noticed sometimes.
Get it back to my guys.
We're a group of 5 that like to live in anonymity. Be anonymous.
Exactly.
Be anonymous.
And really proud of that group. And I've got some young guys that got to get in a little bit at the end that we're just always trying to build depth, because I like to play, because our guys like Dalton play so much on defense. I like to be able to have depth to rotate guys in there.
And those guys, you got a lot of athleticism as well on some. I was thinking about this the other day. You guys pull a lot. Have a lot of pulling guards, and a lot of things like that. That pulling guard position is something that's it's almost like, we don't have fullbacks anymore. They've been replaced by pulling guards. You need that athleticism in there to be able to get in there and open holes up and make things happen.
Yeah, we tell those guys they're the big athletes. They get to pull out there and
no doubt
get in space, and I think they're getting better and better at that. I think our screen game is getting better. We're getting out on level 2 and not just getting there, but getting hooked up and getting blocks. And I tell our linemen, we got so many talented skill guys. If we can get our 5 hats on 5 hats and we get 5 guys blocked, we got a good chance to get something good.
Absolutely. Of course,
going on.
I think a lot of the effectiveness of that also, harkens back to your strength program too, and the fact you've had these guys in that strength program for several years now, and you're really starting to see the benefits that come out.
We got a question.
Got a question from one of the coaches. We're going to Coach Willis.
You knew it. We couldn't go the whole thing without something
Casey.
like this.
That's right.
Yeah.
But we love it.
Okay.
Coach Barnett, Coach Willis wants to know, how do you stop the blitzing tight end? Is it even possible?
It is impossible. You cannot do it.
Okay.
This
Just
is
give up.
This is an inside joke from back at our time at another school, and then that question was posed to us. And if a tight end turns around and blitzes us, there's
You're in trouble.
There's no answer for that.
Yeah.
There is no
Catches
answer
you by
for that.
surprise every time.
Yes. Well, again, thanks, Coach Willis, for the comment or question. Again, it was a little tough sledding for the run game. I mean, obviously you didn't have to have a great big game because, I mean, defense, made that, obvious at the very beginning, get up and able to get a quick lead. But it was, like you said, nice to see Isaac Barnett back in there. He's been playing the last couple games on defense, getting his feet wet and getting back in the game. Is there any concern about the lack of production, whatever, by the tailbacks or anything?
Not at all. Because the main reason on our run game, we don't give our run game time to get going and get in a rhythm and start establishing based on what they're doing. And our offense isn't based on 20, 25 carries a game and pounding the football. It really, I would say, if our passing game is working and we are running the ball some, but the run game's not working, maybe we're getting 3-4 yards a carry, but we're scoring in 5 plays and we've got big pass plays. Well, it's people are working on that on film too. They're defending it. They're having to think about it, and it's opening up our passing game. It's kind of like a really good receiver that doesn't catch many passes, but he draws a safety over the top with the corner help, and you're taking a double team, and now the box is less empty, and you can do whatever. The run game, I think, it's effective. We had a few good runs, but I don't think we haven't had to have the patience yet to try to find the right scheme in a game. Running turbos, like, we're sold out to just going fast, and sometimes with that, you're not really you're not able to just slow it and find that run scheme. Hey, we've got this.
And I'll brag on our guys. When we needed it at the end of the Claremore-Sequoia game, we put the ball in Chance's hands, and we started running downhill. We were getting 8 yards a carry.
Mm-hmm.
It's funny, I joke with Chance all the time. Some of the best plays we block up, he throws the ball. Because we've got some RPO built into the system where he's counting numbers and he is looking at matchups, and we've got a run play called, but he pulls the ball and throws it. And as the offensive line coach, I'm looking at it thinking, wow, we blocked that up so well. I joke with Chance, as long as you keep throwing touchdowns, I don't care.
Yeah.
And I tell the linemen that, because sometimes they'll look back and
Well, come on, Coach.
thinking we were running the football, and he's pulled the ball and thrown a fade to Jay in the back of the end zone.
And there's also danger in that a little bit, because if they think it is a running play, I mean, you've got, 3 yards, and you go beyond that,
downfield.
you're going to get flagged.
They've been doing a really good job in not letting that happen, though.
Well, because they know that, like you said, they know Chance could at any time pull it.
And the ball's usually coming out quick. So
Right.
in a perfect world, that ball's out by the time we've reached that 3-yard threshold. But like Coach said, we are effective in the run game. We don't put up a ton of yards in it, but I think we're effective enough. If you look at our yards per carry and what we're able to do, that they've got to respect it, even in our empty sets, because they know Chance could pull it down and run at any time. That, when we do run a draw play or we're handing the ball off, we're pretty productive. But we know what, butters our bread, and that's number 3, throwing the ball to our athletes on the outside. So,
Absolutely. Another good night for defense. I mean, there wasn't a lot of stressful things going on, but it was another good night for defense. We had a lot of guys that stepped up, had a lot of good plays.
Yep. I thought Camden Ryan played great. He had 11 tackles.
Yeah.
The pick
He was
six
our Jersey Mike's
player of the game.
Player of the game.
First game at Bandit, due to Jay's injury, we'd moved Kelb from Bandit back to safety and moved Cam in from his inside backer spot with Isaac back. We were able to bump Cam out to Bandit and thought he played great. Thought Isaac and Peyton Cole both played great inside. Cooper, of course, played well again. We gave up a little bit of – we busted coverage a couple times out in the flats and gave up a couple of, little swings and screens. There's a couple plays we didn't tackle great and let them extend a drive and get a first down. But, beyond that, and they're 23, their quarterback, he's a good athlete.
I was really impressed with the way he moved around.
Just didn't have a lot of support.
And his composure.
Yeah.
He was able to maintain composure when things were not going well for him.
No, yeah, and he threw a few good comeback routes too. I mean, just put it on him. And so overall, I was pleased. I mean, there were some things we talked about at halftime to clean up, but I think they came out and played a better second half defensively.
Absolutely. We had, just like you said, Camden, 11 tackles, 5 solo, pick 6, fumble recovery, and player of the game. And then Kale, 5 tackles, 4 solo. Cooper, three solos, 1 for loss, an interception return, for 20 yards. Bryce Savard, 4 tackles, 1 solo, another interception. Isaac Barnett, like you say, 7 tackles, 5 solo. T.J. Wilson, 4 tackles, 2 solo, including a sack. That was the other thing. I love the penetration these guys were getting too. Getting back there and going after things. Marshall Hefner, 6 tackles, 2 solo, 1 for loss. Dalton Close, of course, 9 tackles, 5 solo from nose guard, right?
Yeah, he's tremendous. Yeah.
Well, and that's what Mike was saying was that, we're still being able to get Dalton is still, even though he's double teamed all the time, is still one of the leaders on the number of his tackles that he makes. I mean, so that just tells you how good he is, that he can still fight these guys off and lead, most games be up in the top 3 or 4 in number of tackles during the game.
Yeah, I think when Dalton gets double teamed, he gets more angry, and he just fights me even more.
Yeah. And it's an unselfish thing because when he's drawing those double teams, our linebackers are able to flow and fit better because he's demanding so much of their attention. It's just part of that team defense, and he's great about. Even when he's not in the stat book as much as maybe he'd want to be, he still has a huge impact for us.
Absolutely.
Well, once again, I mean, that was, like I say, that was Adair. Tomorrow night's going to be a whole different animal. Once again, the Eagles find themselves involved in the Tulsa Whirl's must-see game of the week. And here we go again, playing a top 10 team in 2A. Every team that we have played, except for Salina and Adair, have been ranked in their respective class in the top 10 at the time that we played them. And then Claremore, Sequoia, and Cassia Hall still highly ranked in their divisions. And tomorrow night, it's going to be for the outright lead in 2A8 tomorrow night. So, obviously you don't have to get these guys fired up for tomorrow night. They know what's on the line. Would you agree that the winner of this really puts 2A8, whoever wins it is going to put them in the driver's seat to win 2A8? I realize we got other games going on, but when you look at the math and everything, you're obviously going to be in the driver's seat if you win, or if you lose, you're not going to be in the driver's seat.
Well, yeah, I think it definitely does because we both have, if you look at the programs we have left to play, Veneta still has to play Claremore Sequoia, and then we still have to play Pawhuska. We both have 2 other games, but I don't know if I know the schedules aren't, as far as winning records or whatever. You have to play every game. We have a 1-0 process here, but as far as the games that people show up and play, and consistency, success leaves clues, like I like to say. You look at what people have done. It does give you an advantage, but like you said, definitely not up. You're just up right there for that moment, and hopefully you can hold the lead if it's us that wins tomorrow night. If they win tomorrow night, we're not going to go there, but we hope they don't.
That's
hold
not
going to
happen.
So,
we're going to get a W tomorrow.
But you know what? They get a vote too, and it's we've been talking all week. It's going to be a battle, and we've had a good week of practice, and that's why you play these games. It's going to be a great atmosphere, and I think it's definitely a top-ranked game for a reason. And hopefully we have a great crowd like we've had, and it just just kind of like to not come down to the wire like the Claremore Sequoia game, but anyway,
Right.
It may.
Yeah, let's take care of it early. If we, those games, I don't have any hair as it is, so I don't have any left to pull out of. So looking at these guys on film, they look like they're a really talented team. They've got some playmakers. Watched a little bit of it today. They've got some tailbacks that can run. They've got some big receivers. They've got that number 34 that, it says he's 5'11" and 170. He's every bit of 170 because he is a load going out in the open field. It looks like they've got several guys that can make plays and score. How are you going to slow them down?
Well, we've got to mix things up. We've got to be sound defensively. Everybody's got to do their job. We've got to stay focused on our assignments. We can't give up the big play. And we talked today, I mean, we just have to, everything that they do that's good for them, we have to make them earn it and grind it out. And if they have success or have something good happen, don't let it be for free. Take something from them while they're doing that by making them earn it and just try to hopefully wear them down. But defensively, I think we've just got to do that, not give up any big plays. And in a game like this, maybe you do give up one or two, but you got to bounce back. And, of course, offense the football. And
which we did against Claremore Sequoia, down by 15.
Yep.
Found a way to come back and win it.
Yep. Absolutely. So what's their defense look like?
Their defense is physical. They've got 18 seniors. And, looking at their defense, I think 7 or 8 of them are seniors. They fly around with the ball. They're not real big up front, but they're lean and they move well. Their secondary moves well. Their outside backers are athletic. Safeties. They're just well-rounded. You look at film, and we always try to find Waldo. Where's Waldo? The guy to pick on.
Right.
And you watch them play, and you don't really find that guy.
I couldn't find him when I was watching the film.
Yeah.
I never did find Waldo. Well, and they had, I was talking to Mark before we went on, they had Drummond on the run the entire game. They barely, he just barely had any time to throw or even think about it. You talk about your O-line. How much time, what's a good second count? 2 seconds, 2.5 seconds to give your quarterback to sit in the pocket and try to get rid of it? And how are you going to slow down that defensive line? Because we talked about it too. They rush a lot of guys. They'll blitz from air. They'll have a tight end blitz.
I hope not. I don't have an answer for that. Every week, part of our process is we just break down where they're coming from and have plan A and plan B that we can, and chance is a big part of that, understanding where the pressure's coming from. There's 5 of us. We can block 5. Chance has to identify that 6th guy and get the ball out. And of course, the X factor with him is if you flush him from the pocket,
he's dangerous.
He's dangerous. So our guys have worked well this week. I really like our group. They communicate really well up front and talk with one another to make sure that it's a team effort up there. And I feel good about our preparation this week. And they are an aggressive front. They come off the ball. It's a good challenge for us. And we don't have a second count in our head. I tell them you block until you hear
the whistle.
Yeah,
we talked about that.
And hopefully then you're looking downfield and chasing a good play, but just block until that whistle blows.
Well, once again, it looked like we had more people at the ball game with our fans down at Adair than our opposition did. And we want you talked about having a record gate at the Claremore Sequoia game. I'd like to break that record tomorrow night. How important is it going to be? Because they're going to bring a lot of people. They'll most likely fill up the visitors' side. We need to fill up our side and be lining the fence. How important is that going to be tomorrow
It's going to be
night?
huge. I mean, their ADM is, someone told me the other day, higher than Berry Hills. I mean, they're probably going back to 3A after this next year. And so they're one of the higher ADMs in Class 2A, which, I went and watched them play on our bye week, and, man, their stands were 20 to 20-yard line, and they're a big set of bleachers, and they were packed. And so they're going to bring a good crowd here. It's going to be a beautiful night, fall break, and so I just hope that everybody in Owasso, Rejoice fans, can come out and support us.
Yeah, and as we say every week, it's the most exciting game on turf in this area, so you got to be out here to watch these guys if you haven't had a chance to come out and see them play. And as always, if you can't make it to the game, you can always catch it right here on this Rejoice Athletics TV channel. Mark and I will bring that to you live tomorrow night with the pregame starting about 6:20 tomorrow. Any final thoughts, Coach, before we sign off?
No, I'm a little more antsy than I've been all year, so I'm just ready for this one to get here.
Yeah, Coach Barnett.
I'll just echo what Coach said. Our guys, it seems, really love rising to the challenge. That seems to be our personality. Even when we got a couple haymakers thrown at us from Claremore Sequoia, we never panicked. I never saw panic on our sideline. Our kids just kept chopping wood, and there's a confidence I think our guys have that we're gonna make plays when we need to make plays. It's not an arrogance, but a confidence. So we love these games because I think our guys
That's how you
love
get
them
better.
too. Yeah,
That's how you get better.
exactly.
Yeah. Well, thanks for joining us again tonight for the Rejoice Christian Eagles Coaches Show. Join Mark and a host of others. I won't be there next week, but Mark will be there at Matt Eats. I think. Are we going to be at Matt Eats next week?
Matt
I guess.
Eats.
Yeah, Matt Eats next week. So come down at 76th and Main. The show will begin at 7 o'clock Thursday night, and we invite you to come down there and be a part of the broadcast. I had a lot of folks last time. We'd like to have even more. Wait, before we go, Jay's main grandpa, no high school football team of this caliber in this whole state. Listen to the man. He knows what he's talking about. So much respect for the coaches, leadership that produces selfless team play and grooms these young men for a bright future. You know, I was going to mention that as much as you guys do on the field, that's not even the most important thing that you guys have when you guys have these guys for 4 years. You guys speak life into these guys. It's programs like what's going on here tonight, because not all these guys, you know, a lot of these guys after, and I'm glad he reminded us of that, when football is over, it's over. And then now they got to go and life begins. And you've got them for 4 years, and what an important thing it is to develop these guys' character and speak and their spirituality. I mean, we saw that in Chance's Tulsa World article last week about that doesn't happen by accident, and you guys are a big part of that. And I appreciate you, the whole coaching staff, being a big part of that.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
But again, like I said, if you can't make it down to, or if you can't watch or make it down there, Mark will bring that to you live. Come on down. They've got heaters out there, so even if it's cool, you'll still be warm. So it's a lot of fun. So come down, and don't forget, we need the biggest crowd of the year tomorrow night. You need to be that 12th man. You need to be cheering these guys on, because I can promise you, Veneta will bring them in droves. It's not that far down. They'll come right down 169 or 69, however they get down here, and they will bring a lot of folks. So, but if you can't be here live, Mark and I will bring it to you live tomorrow night on this Rejoice Athletics TV channel on YouTube. For my wingman, Mark Kirk, for Coach Marley and Coach Barnett, and for our engineer, Todd Witten, father of Blake Witten, I'm Bill Bush, and you've been watching the Rejoice Christian Eagles Coaches Show on this Rejoice Athletics TV YouTube channel. Good night, God bless, and go Eagles!